But welcome everybody. Here am I. Apologies. I'm not sure who I think we've got everybody other than lateness from the Lyndall and Jeremy. Would somebody like to move?
I'm happy to move the apologies for lateness for Lyndall and Jeremy.
Thanks, Nicole. Somebody second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Yep. Thanks, Eric. All those in favour? Against?
Aye.
Carried. I'm not sure whether just welcoming everybody, just Rex and Nigel, are you?
Yes, no, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Yeah. Apologies. Yes, welcome, gentlemen. No doubt we'll hear from you shortly. Thank you. Public forum, petitions and deputations. I'm not aware of any at all. Confirmation of minutes, and the minutes have been circulated. No doubt everybody's read them.
Happy to move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second up for me.
Neville, all those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, it's carried. Right. Notification of extraordinary and urgent business. I'm not aware of anything there. Questions? Nothing at all. Chairman's report. I don't have a report, but I'd just like to comment on yesterday. Both Nicole and I went down to the blessing of the tug, the new tug, and it was a great day. I'd just like to pass that on to both Rex and Nigel. And then we went up after the blessing. We went up to our Runangas up to the marae and had a meal. So no, it was a wonderful day, most enjoyable. Extraordinary and urgent business. Not aware of any at all. Is there a staff report at all? Is there not? No.
The staff report is just the item for Southport. Yeah, just the item for Southport, the half yearly results. That was for 31st of December 2021. Right.
Moving on to that, moving on to that Southport half yearly result. There's a recommendation there.
Happy to move a recommendation that we hear from representatives from Southport.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks, Neville. Seconded. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes, carried. What was yours, gentlemen? Rex and Nigel, if you'd like to give us a half-yearly report, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yes, so look, thanks very much, David. Just before I do so, just acknowledging, of course, the board met yesterday and released the half-yearly result. And of course, we would have been presenting to you yesterday afternoon, was it not for the pre-planned ceremony that we had for the tug blessing and gifting of our new motto, which you've acknowledged the quite special ceremony that we had yesterday up at the Araka Marae. And can I just also thank Environment Southland representatives who were there for their attendance at that occasion supporting Southport. So thank you for that. Anyway, so we're delayed by a day because of that, and Nigel and I are going to speak to the media release that was released late yesterday afternoon. You may not have a hard copy or an electronic version of that at this stage, but I'll ensure that a copy is emailed to you, David, for distribution after this presentation.
Thanks, Rex.
So, look, a pleasing half-year result in all the circumstances. Net earnings have held up relatively well for the first half of the year, despite the challenges of disruption to the supply chain and uncertainty that's been created by the pandemic. Our revenue for the half year to the 31st of December 2021 was just about the same as last half year, which was in itself a record. That revenue was 23.3 million versus just $100,000 less than last half year, which was 23.4. So that was very pleasing. The net profit after tax is just back slightly for the half year. The net profit recorded was 5.9 million. Last year it was 6.1. So once again, bearing in mind that half year was a record half year profit, we are very pleased to get so close to it. Anyway, some of the numbers that, or some of the trade numbers that make up that result, and not surprisingly, our container volumes were negatively impacted, and they had a 23% decline for the half year. And that's not reflective of any productivity at the port or any productivity in the region. It's just a simple result of the heavily disrupted supply chain, particularly with container trade. Bulk cargoes were consistent with the previous financial year and in line with their expectations. But we are expecting just a decline in the second 6 months in bulk cargoes due to reduced demand in the Chinese log market. But we are expecting and optimistic that decline might be relatively temporary and might recover in the second half. So there is some signs that the log market has been affected by a temporary oversupply in the market and Chinese New Year, which will soon pass. So total cargo activity was actually ahead of the previous year. We recorded 1,745,000 tonnes compared to 1,720,000 tonnes, so very close, an increase of 25,000 tonnes. The main factors that have impacted the interim result, the log market, as I've said, is just slightly depressed at the moment, but expected to improve. Container supply chains are, as I said, significantly disrupted as a result of the pandemic. Our cold storage volumes declined due to the reduction in meat and fish storage at the port, and that may also perhaps be a result of the product moving slightly faster than it has previously. On the plus side, there was, probably not surprisingly, an increase in stock food volumes imported into the region to support the dairy industry, and that's no doubt a reflection of the very high payout at the moment, which is encouraging imported stock food volumes to support production. Look, the disruption to the supply chain, it's all over the media, you know, it's well known, it's across the globe, and Southport's affected to a similar degree as other ports around the world, and simply something that we have to live with, hopefully a temporary phenomenon, but certainly affecting us at the moment. Anyway, as far as the interim dividend is concerned, based on that consistent result at the half year, we have declared a fully imputed interim dividend of 7.5 cents, which is exactly the same as the previous year. And I'll speak to the outlook for the full year after Nigel's given you an update on some of the operational results.
Thanks, Rex. Good afternoon, everyone. Look, I'll briefly touch on some of the cargo aspects, moving on to operations and finishing off with some of the capital works commentary. So just reiterating what Rex said about the total cargo volumes, we're slightly up on last year. And the key areas that we showed some increases were stock food, we're up 41,000 tonne, and aluminium we're up 28,000 tonne also. However, logs were negatively impacted. We're back about 29,000 tonne in comparison to the same period last year. So all in all, bulk cargoes are looking pretty comparable to the last 6 months period. As Rex said, we're down 23% in our containers, so that's quite significant. We handled 20,800 TEU compared to 27,000 TEU for the same period. So, and that is not reflected in demand. It is really just a function of container supply and the regularity of vessel calls. So if we had the ships calling and the empty containers on hand, I would imagine we'd be similar to last year's totals, if not greater. But that's a reduction in containers is also translated to a reduction in ship calls. So we're actually down 32% on the same period last year. So we've had 17 container vessels called compared to 25 for the same time last year. So it's quite a significant decrease in vessel calls. And it's pretty mucky, to be fair. Like around December, around Christmas time, we had 4 vessels all bunched up. And then we have a period of 2 to 3 weeks where we have none. And now we've got another 3 vessels bunched up. So it's pretty difficult to operate in those conditions, but the team are doing the best they can. Regards the operations on the port and our warehousing, like the dairy sector has been going pretty well. And our dairy warehousing operations have been handling a similar, if not increased volumes through the stores. So they're doing a great job. Our cold storage, however, was impacted. We had fewer deep sea vessel calls with fish to offload than we expected, and there was a little less meat coming through the stores, so that has impacted that result. We've also made a comment on the aluminium smelter that obviously they've got their contract signed with Meridian through to 2024. And also that Meridian Energy and Contact are now investigating the establishment of large-scale green hydrogen opportunities. Like, we're very, very supportive of both the smelter. We believe that it shouldn't be one or the other. We think it should be an and. So the smelter, we'd love to see that continue, and we'd like to see some development of further additional generation in the south, as well as some further productive capacity, whether that be hydrogen or something else, we don't know, but we're very supportive of seeing their region, the economy increase. We don't see why you should have one or the other. Fair comment, Rex?
Yes.
Yeah. So moving on to capital works, everyone listening will be well aware that we've got a large project on the go now. We've named it Kia Whakau. And a key part of that is the capital dredging of the entrance channel, the swinging basin, and also the berth pockets. So we've begun the consenting process. The submissions closed on the 31st of January. We've had 8 submissions lodged, 6 for the project and 2 opposing. So then obviously we'll proceed. We'll have some pre-hearing meetings, and then we'll go through to a hearing. We're expecting that to be held around the 12th, 13th of April. So it's not too far away. So there's a lot of work going on there. We're pretty pleased with a lot of the submissions that have come in. We've had no opposition coming from the Bluff community, only support, which is positive. So we look forward to entering into that hearing phase. We've also got obviously the councillors will be aware that the tug arrived last year around September, October, and our team have been undertaking quite a significant amount of training. It's a different type of tug, I should say, than our normal tug. So there's a fair bit of work going on with our crew to ensure that they can operate it safely. So we expect to have that operational round about the end of March, which is positive. As far as the other capital works, the Town Wharf berth that services the petroleum import activity, and that fuel comes in to service the southern region and the Wakatipu Basin. Is moving along very nicely, and we expect that to be up and running or finished by the mid-April to some mid-May sometime. And the final piece of the process, that puzzle I should say, that's undertaken at the moment, is that we're still working through the installation of the impressed current cathodic protection for the access bridge. So that's been going on for a few, 2 to 3 years now. We've made excellent progress on that. It's coming in cheaper, under budget, and we're achieving the work a lot quicker than we thought. So we're very happy with the progress made there. And just remind the councillors, like, we expect once we've finished that project, it's going to give the bridge a minimum of 25 to 30 year extension of the life on it. So it's a pretty exciting project, and we're very pleased with the progress that we've made there. So that's me. I'll pass you back to Rex.
Yes, thanks, Nigel. Just on that last point, I think it's worth noting, those familiar with the port will understand how vital that access bridge is. Without it, we would have great difficulty operating. And so it's a vital piece of infrastructure, and the installation of that cathodic protection system, which basically neutralises any further corrosion of the steel reinforcing in the concrete, that is a very cost-effective solution, which gives us an extended life, as Nigel said, of 25 years. So it shouldn't be underestimated how important that piece of preventative maintenance has been for us. When one considers what the cost of a new bridge might be, you wouldn't like to think. So it's been a very good outcome. So look, as to the outlook, you have picked up already that obviously some of the supply chain problems with containers, which badly affected at airport, along with others, they're not going to resolve themselves until probably this time next year. I hope we're not saying next year that it's going to be another year, but one would hope that, of course, a lot of this disruption is caused by circumstances that we in New Zealand are not yet faced, which is, absenteeism and lack of labour due to particularly the Omicron variant infecting workplaces. As I say, we haven't yet experienced that yet, but it's something that we no doubt will have to deal with. So look, there is going to be some uncertainty for the next 6 months, but based on all known factors at present, we estimate that our full year earnings should be in the range of $9.7 to $10 million after tax. That's compared to 10.7 last year, which was a record. So it's potentially going to be back 700 to $1 million, which, as I say, probably is not reflective of the ports or the region's productivity, but just the disrupted supply chain mostly, and the unusual market conditions that we're experiencing. Assuming that we can achieve a net profit in that range, then the directors have resolved that they will anticipate paying a dividend at the same level as we paid last year, which was 27 cents full year dividend. And you'll remember that was a 1 cent increase on the previous year, and it was a record dividend. So that's our hope and expectation, is that the dividend will be maintained at that level, assuming that we fall within that guided profit range. Happy to answer any questions that might arise out of that presentation, either Nigel or myself.
Thank you, gentlemen. I've just got one question. I know costs have risen substantially in shipping, and I just wondered is that going to be reflected right through the port system, or is that something that you've just got to hold, and the other ports have managed to do that also? Because I know the cost of shipping at the moment, not just containers, but actually ships sitting around, is lifted substantially.
Yes, well, look, unfortunately, David, those shipping costs they're borne by the shipper, the exporter or the importer, and so unfortunately for those parties, they're bearing the brunt of that, and so is the consumer and the producer in the region. So it doesn't directly affect our cost base. But look, there's no doubt, quite apart from those shipping costs, there's going to be inflation pressures on our business like all others, both in wages and the cost of services and goods.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? Tanya, did you? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, given the capital works that you're doing, I think that's a pretty good return that you're showing at the 6-monthly stage, and we're all quite encouraged by that, I think would be a fair comment.
Yes, thanks, Eric.
Exceptional. It's as I mentioned yesterday, the logging trucks are back on the road again. Obviously, there was a period there where there was nothing much going on in the logging industry, so I'm not quite sure it'll come back to what it was. It was extremely busy prior to December, I think. So certainly, I'd imagine that logging volume going through will be probably getting back up to what it was.
Yes, we're hopeful it will, David, in time. But certainly, it's always traditionally a quieter period over Christmas and Chinese New Year. But the prices were also back quite substantially. But that looks like it's improving.
You're also, I think the comment was, the inventory over in China is reasonably depleted, and with the issues that Europe had with problems with the forests over there, that seems to have alleviated a bit. So things should improve considerably.
Yes.
Anybody got any questions at all? Jeremy?
Tania does, David.
Oh, Tania, got the hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Jeremy. Congratulations, guys. That's I think a pretty outstanding result considering all the disruption that we've had in the world, and it's certainly 18 months ago is not one that we could have perhaps forecast last year and this year. And your diversified customers or client base, I think, has certainly proven to be very valuable in this time. You can't always tell which one's going to go up, which one's going to go down, can you? But yeah, interesting to see the aluminium going up and what's happening there. That's another story we debated a lot during the LTP. My question was interest rate movements and total amount of debt. You're a capital intensive industry. Are the movements in interest going to have some degree of impact on you? You may or may not be able to answer that in full. But.
Thanks, Tony. Look, we have a treasury policy, and so we've got a mixture of both floating and fixed debt. But that the fixed debt proportion, which is about 50%, Nigel, is it of our debt, around 50%, is going to provide us with some insulation to increased interest rates. So, look, we don't think that we are going to be adversely impacted in the short term or medium term because of the rising interest rates. Although you're quite right, we have taken on a lot more debt recently, predominantly because of a $10 million tug added to the balance sheet did require some further funding. So that was that did increase our debt levels by about the same amount.
One has to keep investing, right?
Right there, Tony. Right. Any further questions? If not, just no, congratulations. Very good result, considering what we're going through at the moment. We'll look forward to seeing what happens in the next 6 months. So, see what the outcome is at that stage. But no, well done and thank you. No further comments at all, gentlemen. Rex?
No, that's fine. No, look,
No.
nothing else from us. We'll see you. We'll see you in 6 months' time, hopefully with
I hope to catch up.
Reassuring news.
I hope to catch up with you prior to that. Yes.
Yes, that'll be good.
Good work.
Yeah. No. Well done. And yesterday was quite special, really. Something I've never been through before or experienced. So no, it was quite special. And thank you for the invite, the invitation. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, David. It was a pleasure having you. Okay, and look, I'll circulate by email that media release that we've just spoken to immediately after we get off this call.
Thank you both. With that, we'll say thanks very much, and we'll carry on with our meeting. Yes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Slade.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the next thing on the agenda is the public excluded, and I'm not sure who's doing is Jan there or?
Michaela's here.
Oh, right. Just give a reason why we're moving into public excluded, and obviously switching offline too.
So we're moving into public excluded to allow council to carry out, withdraw without prejudice or disadvantage commercial activities.
Thank you for that.
And just
Somebody like to move in that direction? Thanks. Thank you, Lyndall and Neville. All those in favour? It's carried. Are we offline?
Just doing that at the moment.
Thank you.
Please call it. Yep, we'll just confirm.